What's up, Godzilla fans? Godzilla here, also known as Richard Manzo, but today we're going to be talking about Daredevil Season 2 and my take and how it compares to the first season. Now, Daredevil has become one of, if not my favorite TV shows ever up to date, simply because of how dark, mature, and brutal it is. That's why it was so different. It was just something new, something that wasn't in the superhero fatigue kind of thing. It was grounded, it was a smaller story, and it was also just very, very good. Not only did I love it, but it was critically acclaimed, the comic book fans enjoyed it, and there was no doubt that it was going to have a second season. Now, I was hyped for it, I will admit, but when the second season came out, a lot of people were disappointed. I wasn't disappointed, however. I thought it was very good as well. I liked it a lot, but a lot of people were. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. Is the second season better than the first, or if it isn't, how does it compare? So before we start, let me just say my personal opinion. My personal opinion is that everything that Season 1 lacked in Daredevil Season 2 just improved even further. So to start off, let's just go ahead and start with the pacing. Now, a lot of people from Season 1 thought the pacing was kind of off. You've had bits of action here, but a long stretch of story and dialogue here. Personally, I didn't think that. I thought it was a good combination of the both. There was never a moment where I wasn't engaged, but then again, other people thought differently. So that's why I think Season 2, right from the start, hits the ground running with Punisher and just keeps continuing with Elektra, the Hand, and etc. That's why I think it was so much better. The side characters were also very much improved from Season 1. People like Foggy and Karen. Foggy now stands on his own. He realizes that he doesn't need Matt. He takes the Punisher case on his own when Matt isn't there, and he becomes a centric part of the plot. Karen as well. Karen in the first season kind of bounced between Matt and Foggy and this possible love triangle thing. I am very glad they didn't go that route because that would have made it even more cliche. But she stands on her own. She knows her place. She's not a stupid little secretary assistant. Now she is fulfilling the Ben Urich role. By the way, Ben Urich, we still miss you. But now she is a journalist at the New York Bulletin. The action also. Now, the action I wouldn't say is better, but it is more ambitious. Take, for example, of course, in Season 1, we had that great part where Wilson Fisk decided to take off Anatoly's head with a car door. But they shied away from that. They didn't show it too much until his head was finally decapitated. But take Punisher, for example, and it is only fitting with the Punisher. But take, for example, when he shot Finn directly in the face. I don't think they would have shown that in Season 1. But the fight scene in Season 2, Episode 3 upped the ante, but also was an homage, of course, to the fight scene in Season 1, Episode 2. It was just much more ambitious. He was fighting so many more people. He was fighting in a stairwell. Of course, it's not one shot, but it doesn't matter. I just enjoy it a lot. And finally, the costume. They improved so much on the costume. Personally, I also enjoyed the costume at the end of Season 1, and I enjoyed it for the first 2 episodes of Season 2. But I will say, this costume looks much more darker. It just looks cooler, and it looks badass. But also, in my opinion, everything that Season 1 did masterfully, Season 2 lacked. Contradicting myself a little here, the fight scenes, the action. I feel that Season 1 was much more brutal. Every punch really felt like it hit. But in Season 2, the ninja flips and kicks kind of get old, you know? It's just nice when he delivers a nice old beating, a nice old punch. And I think that is just really what makes Season 1 so great. It's grounded and brutal. Also, Season 2 did feel a little bit unfocused compared to the overarching story of Season 1. It was more like a movie in Season 1. It was more cinematic. You had a beginning, you had an ending. But in Season 2, it was more like, okay, for the first 4 episodes, we have a Punisher storyline. Okay, now we have Elektra, now we have the Hand, now we have to finish this part, back to the Punisher case, you know, all this kind of stuff going on. That's how it felt. It was just more episodic, I guess you could say, not as cinematic. And finally, the villains. It was very, very much missing an overarching villain. Wilson Fisk. You cannot beat Wilson Fisk in the first season. He was just such an intimidating villain. He is by far the best MCU villain, but you cannot beat him. Season 2 was missing that. Nobu towards the end was alright. I like Nobu personally. I like how Daredevil's never been able to defeat Nobu in a real fight by himself. But that's not enough. Nobu just didn't carry it as much as Wilson Fisk. That's not to say that Season 2 didn't add anything either. Of course, you've had the awesome addition of Punisher, played amazingly by Jon Bernthal.
You people call me the Punisher, ain't that right? The big bad Punisher.
And you had the very unique but also faithful addition of Elektra, played by Elodie Young.
I know now what it feels to be good.
We also get to revisit old characters such as Wilson Fisk in the prison, which was by far one of the best parts of Season 2.
Pick her name again. Go
Daredevil Season 1 is essentially an origin story between Daredevil, who is a vigilante who becomes a superhero at the end, and Wilson Fisk, who thinks he's doing good but then realizes he is the ill intent and becomes the villain.
That I am the ill intent.
Daredevil Season 2, however, is more of a superhero story, and that's why it feels different. So overall though, story-wise, villain-wise, thematically, cinematically, I would say that Daredevil Season 1 is superior to Daredevil Season 2, leaving Daredevil Season 1, in my opinion, at a 9.5, and Daredevil Season 2 at a 9. But again, that's just my opinion. But thank you everybody for watching though. Please become subscribed. Give a big thumb enjoy this video. Also though, tell me down below everybody, did you guys enjoy Season 2 better than Season 1 or Season 1 better than Season 2? Overall, I would just say that Season 1 is a more well put together show rather than Season 2. But again, I still enjoyed both of them. But thank you everybody for watching again. I'm Godzilla 5400 out.